on what it could all mean for bloc members. I'm now joined by Manlio Di Stefano, an Italian MP from the Eurosceptic Five-Star Movement. Thanks so much, Mr. Di Stefano, for joining us here in the studio to talk about something that's been really on everyone's lips ever since the referendum took place in the UK. And of course, the question to you as an Italian, how have people in Italy reacted to Brexit?
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's a very pleasure for me to be here today. Well, Italian people are already afraid of what they have now, or what is Europe now for them. In Italy, we have 9 million of people under the leverage of poverty, the 63% of youth unemployment in some region in the south of Italy. So maybe the situation of the European Union for the future is a leap in the dark, but you know, the past is already known and it's not good.
Okay, so, well, that's really interesting because you know what, a lot of people, as we reported here, and of course, just reading what's happening in the media, reactions, like the morning after people woke up and some of them realized, what have we done? You know, that's the thing, but as you said, the past is known, the future is kind of not known. But you know, that's what we'll have to come to terms with, at least the British people there. But looking at what's happening in Europe in general, some are thinking that there's a lot of discontent with EU policies. And speaking of Italy, for example, let's discuss then how people, their reaction to the Brexit. And an opinion polls we know prior to the UK referendum found that over half of Italians would vote leave if a similar vote was held in their country. So what do you think will be happening in Italy now? Will Brexit be giving them some ideas? Will they be initiating some similar referendums perhaps? Or what sort of developments do you expect in Italy?
Well, given the economical trends that I've been telling you before, in Italy the discussion on the euro and Eurozone is already open since some months. We as Five-Star Movement, we already gathered the signs for the referendum of the Eurozone, and we are waiting them to be discussed in the Senate and to have this opportunity for the referendum. We think that every time that people is able to express their own opinion, it's a good choice for the policymaker. I mean, up to now, we made a big mistake in Europe to, you know, to be blind to the needs of the people and to just do what they wanted to do without thinking of the real needs. So we should now start from people, asking people what they want to do, and then maybe this Brexit, obviously the British situation is totally different from the Italian one and from the other member states. They were not in the Eurozone, so totally different. But I think that it has to be a trigger to start thinking again of what we are going to face in the future and what we already create. So I think that we are in a, you know, in a certain moment where you can reform or die. And I think that we should reform immediately and taking this Brits leave as an opportunity.
Okay, but how different is the situation in Italy then? You just mentioned that it's different. Well, so what are the key differences there?
Well, the key differences are, for sure, first of all, as I said, we are in the Eurozone and they weren't in the Eurozone.
Okay, yeah, they have the pound, they decided to keep it.
Well, actually, that's pretty important, actually. Yeah. Then Italy is, as a social situation based on the Italian specialities, like the Made in, you know, all the things that we are very good to do. And under the European legislation, a lot of things are going to be disrupted. It's like with the TTIP, for example, you know. If Europe keep on thinking on how to bring other products, like for the TTIP or for the oranges from Morocco or from oil from Tunis, it will destroy our economy, and it is already doing it. So people is every day more afraid of the situation made by the European Union. So maybe we should say, okay, you have to keep your own specialities, you have to keep your own capabilities, and start thinking more than a European Union made of banking institutions and financial institutions, made of social welfare, basic income, and things that are really important for people. Look at the Greece situation. I mean, it's a benchmark. If you see the Greece situation, you understand that what we thought to be the right way for them, it destroyed at all the economy. And even the new part of the EU changes for Greece are even worse. So I mean, we have to stop now, restart thinking, and Brexit is a good trigger for that.
Okay, well, certainly a lot of food for thought there for politicians and for other groups interested in, moving on, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, Manlio, looking at politicians specifically in other EU countries, we know that there's a number of them that have called for in-out referendums, especially ones from anti-immigration parties. So how do you expect things to develop from now on there for them? Do you think there'll be a domino effect, or how? What sort of impact do you expect?
Well, the case is different in any country. Mm-hmm. In France, for example, I think it will be a domino effect because they have a strong Le Pen power there. Maybe in Austria too. And in Italy, I think that since that we are considered, as you introduced me, Eurosceptic, we are Eurozone skeptic, I will say. We are trying to make people understand that we can tackle the situation, but we have to be a real political will to do it. That's why we are contrasting in this moment. Today we had Renzi, our Prime Minister, in the chamber to discuss the European legislation again, and we are contrasting because we think that he's too much under the pressure of Germany and the United States, and it doesn't think to the needs of his own people. So, the domino effect is probable, yes, but we are trying in Italy to keep the situation much stable possible in terms of people understanding of the facts and taking the situation in our hands to bring it to a solution.
Well, you said that each country is different in the EU, despite the fact that they're all members of the EU, those who are still in. But speaking generally, if you just step back a little bit and look at this whole European context and the member state, what's happening within each of the countries, each of them have a lot of problems, and both specifically and generally. I mean, the euro crisis, the migration crisis, etc. A lot of problems in the EU. So this kind of Brexit revealed revealed a lot of issues in the UK as well as in the bloc. What do you think will be happening next? Do you think the EU will survive this test?
That's the question. I mean, I think that, as I said before, if we are able to reform it, it will survive. But now I'll give you my pessimistic view, I would say. I think that there is not the political will to reform it in a good direction. So I think it probably will die. That's why I always say, and I'm pleased to be here today for this reason, my movement, the Fire Start movement, is since 2 years now, is talking about why the Italian view to economy, and it's why we are here today to the Congress of United Russia to say that we want to stop sanctions to Russia, for example. I mean, if the European Union is collapsing, we have to open our economy to other situations. I'm thinking to the ALBA countries in South America, to the BRICS countries. I mean, if we don't do this, if in 10 years the European Union will be failed, we'll be alone with our crisis and our failed economy. So we need to start now to widen this economy, to open it, and maybe we will have, a pillow where to fall down when it will happen.
So certainly, I think a lot of people would agree that it's a time for action, but only time can tell where this action takes us. Manlio Di Stefano, thanks so much for talking to us,
Thank
Italian
you for
MP,
inviting
talking
me.
to us here in the studio of RT International.